on hot days are fine if you're gonna stay inside, but if you're gonna go outside, they're not very fun. You guys want to know stuff about Star Wars like planets? Okay, I did like a whole research project on this. I'm gonna tell you, I do this thing where like I ask people if they want to hear about something and then I just tell them anyway. Anyways, so there actually are planets like the ones seen in Star Wars, kind of, that they found. Like specifically NASA has written several articles about the topic. Like they found some planets that are like largely lava, like Mustafar, and they like did the science and like math and like research into like the surface and like atmosphere of those planets as best they can from as far away as we are from them, because these are mostly like outer or way far out there planets, because there aren't that many that are like super close to us. Anyways, so they. And did you just quote my anyway? Yeah, sorry, I say that a lot. I get off track and then I have to go back. But anyways, they kind of like ranked them, like which ones are most survivable, and Mustafar ranked very low. You would burn alive. Like in Mustafar's atmosphere, like anywhere near that surface, you would be screwed. Like everything would be screwed. Nothing would live on that planet unless there was some really like crazy like little superbug guy that figured it out and like, you know, did some crazy evolution stuff to, like, survive, like, ridiculous temperatures. If you look at, I don't remember what the numbers were, they were crazy, though. Like, they did it in, I think that they did calculate it in Kelvin, because, you know, Kelvin is a science temperature. You don't really use Kelvin in daily life, but NASA does sometimes. But it was, like, a ridiculous number. Like, it wasn't as hot as I think the sun or like any kind of star, but it was really hot. Like you would not survive. You'd be so screwed. They also looked at like a planet that looks like Camino, which Camino was actually interesting. This was actually I think it was MIT. Don't quote me on this, but if you look it up, then MIT did like a model of a planet like Camino. Like they found a specific one that then they built the model based on. So it was essentially a planet that was completely covered in water. Like it was basically just water. Not like Neptune. Neptune's not really kind of like this. This is like different a little bit. But they found that you wouldn't survive on that either. Like I don't remember exactly what their reasoning was, but for some reason Camino would also not be hospitable to people and most animals. Maybe just because of the lack of land would make it really hard to settle on it. I can't remember. And a few other, there were reasons. I think it was also something about like the ridiculous storms that you would find on a planet like that. Like if you lived on Camino, you know how our oceans control a lot of the weather on Earth? Well, imagine that your planet was entirely ocean. That's problematic. If your planet is only ocean, then like you get a crazy wave, you're gonna drown, man. And there's no land for you to scramble up onto. Maybe you have a spaceship that can land in water, that like you could stay in your spaceship. But with the severity of the storms and the waves on that planet, it would just get nuts. You'd be in trouble. Purple, you don't understand how a lot of girls wear hoodies when it's hot. Like no way you would die. Through suffering. That's how you wear hoodies when it's hot and you regret it. It's mostly if you, what the heck? Oh, I'm like number 1 on the server. There's only 3 people here, so that's not that crazy, I guess. Anyways, back to Star Wars like planets, because I had like a 10-minute speech based on these. But anyways, okay. So you couldn't live on Camino, you can't live on Mustafar. So what about the other Star Wars planets? Okay. To live on like a planet, well, Endor's a moon, but we're gonna call it a planet for the sake of this conversation. Endor was also problematic because it just wasn't realistic. Like there aren't that many planets that would be like that. Like we haven't found life on other planets. So like we can't really. Endor has a lot of life. Like even just plant life, the sheer amount that Endor had wasn't very realistic from what they found so far that I could find in their articles. They made it sound like nah, probably not. But the Star Wars planet that you would be most likely to be able to survive on, interestingly enough, is crap, I just forgot what it's called. Tatooine. It's Tatooine. Okay. I don't know why my brain just forgot that for a second, but it absolutely did. Anyways, if you were going to live in the Star Wars universe, you'd be most likely to survive on Tatooine with its 2 suns, okay? I'm sorry that I keep saying anyways. It's just, I use that word a lot. So yeah, Tatooine is the highest probability of survival would be on Tatooine because desert planets are the closest to Earth in survivability terms and hospitability, habitability, whatever. Synonyms, man. But if you were in the Star Wars universe, you would want to look for a desert planet with your little spaceship. You'd want to fly to one of those because on the other ones, you are screwed. Like, ooh, okay. You know Bespin. Bespin is mostly a gas giant. Like, it's like a gas giant. Like, it's more like, I think Jupiter's mostly gas, right? Jupiter or Saturn is mostly gas. I can't remember off the top of my head. One of those is like a gas giant, though. I think it's Jupiter. I don't think we know what Saturn is for sure. So yeah, I think it's Jupiter that's a gas giant. We probably do know what Saturn is. I just don't right now when I'm trying to think about it. But Bespin, as a gas planet, also incredibly unrealistic. Even if you're going to live in the sky, like the probability of people surviving on Bespin is like very low. You would not want to live on Bespin. You want to live on Tatooine or Jakku. The math also showed that Jakku, just desert planets in general, are the most realistic. So really, when they're like, you're looking at Star Wars planets and you're like, man, I'd want to live on Bespin. I'd want to live on Hoth. Oh, Hoth is also a problem. Hoth is too cold. People would die on Hoth really quickly. We'd be very screwed on that one. It's got the same problem as Mustafar, but reversed, as you would guess. Mustafar burns you alive. Hoth, you like freeze instantly. You get hypothermia, whatever, you're dead. Those two, you're dead. You're just absolutely screwed. So yeah, Jakku, Tatooine, you're good. You're mostly cool, you know? You're gonna have to find a little bit of water somewhere. Maybe you're gonna steal it from, you know, the crazy ocean planet of, you know, one of those bad boys. But yeah, you do not want to live on the super hot, cold worlds. You want to live on Tatooine. That was your very quick rundown of Star Wars-like planets that we found, or NASA found. I'm not going to take credit for NASA, but I read a bunch of their articles about it. But yeah, NASA has found that you're most likely to survive on a desert planet. This also supports the theory that humans are most likely to be able to survive on Mars as far as our solar system goes. That's why, like, all the research is like, oh, we're going to get to Mars, we're going to get to Mars, we're going to get to Mars. Because it's very accurate. Like, the science shows that, like, if we're going to survive on any of these planets, it's Mars, man. It is not the other ones. We're screwed on the other ones. But yeah, it's really interesting, though. If you look up Star Wars planets, real Star Wars-like planets, yada yada, and NASA, you'll get tons of articles about it from NASA themselves and from secondhand resources that cite their and other researchers' articles and published peer-reviewed stuff and just blog, like, scientist blog posts, all those kind of things. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting topic to think about, like, how realistic Star Wars is in terms of whether we would actually have any chance of survival on the planets shown in the films. And the answer for all but the double sun desert planets is no, we would not. We would be dead. Yeah. It's the whole wacky, man. Science is crazy. I can't believe that, like, they can figure out the atmosphere of planets that are, like, seriously light years upon light years away. I don't understand. I think that astronomy is so interesting, but I just do not have the, like, capabilities of doing that kind of math, to be honest. I wish I did. It'd be so cool as, like, a career to be like, oh, I wrote an article the other day about the math that would support whether we could live on this planet seen in Star Wars movies. But I am not that good at math, unfortunately. Purple, you just want to be on Hoth right now. It's so hot right now. You would die on Hoth too, though. So, I mean, do you want to be on Hoth enough to die? Because then you could just go into a really cold freezer. But don't do that. Don't do that. But it'd be kind of, it wouldn't be equivalent. You couldn't really get that cold unless you use some, like, craziness. Like, what is it called? There's a like gas. There's a gas that you can like, it like freezes stuff. I can't remember what it's called right now. What is it called? Nitrogen something. The freezy gas. Let's see. Freezy gas. Oh, I have caps lock on. I'm not looking for a freezer. Thank you, Google. Liquid nitrogen. Yes, liquid nitrogen would be how you could simulate Hoth and, you know, die. If I was given, oh yeah, sorry about the ads. They do that. Ants, if I was given a chance to go to Mars, would I? Depends. Depends on the terms of going to Mars. Because if I went to Mars right now, like, okay, I don't remember how long it's supposed to take to get to Mars. I think it might be like something like crazy, like 5 years though. But it's at least a couple years. So like this is a significant chunk of your life that even though it would be an incredible opportunity, you'd have to weigh like what is that worth? Because obviously they'd have to pay you something to do that. But well, probably we'll end up having to pay to go there if we wanted to. But if you're, let's say that you're a scientist, you're one of the first people going to Mars. I feel like the pay would have to be significant, and you'd have to be able to not miss too much of your own life. Because let's think about it. Let's say that, like, a trip to Mars, you were going to be gone for 5 years. You wouldn't be on Earth for 5 years. What happens in 5 years? Well, let's see. Let's go back 5 years in my life. Okay, so I am currently, I'm almost 20 years old. So if we go back to when I was 15, I was just barely starting high school. The amount of things that have happened between 15 and now, they're extensive. Like I know people who have had babies. I've seen my cousins grow up. I've seen my sister graduate. She's about to graduate again. I'm gonna see my brother graduate. I'm almost to graduation. I'm only a year out. I've seen weddings. So like it kind of it depends. I would consider going to Mars, but you know, I think Mars would be really cool to go to, but I'm not sure if I would think that it was worth the amount of life that I would miss not being on Earth for however long it would take. Because I think that it would probably be gone for even more than 5 years. So it depends on how crazy the trade-off. Because also it would depend on when I was asked. Like if I was asked right now, okay, so I'm about to be 20, so I'd be 25. Let's say I'd be 25 when I got back to Earth. How much is going to happen for most people between the years of 20 and 25? Quite a bit. Like, if you think about it, 5 years from now, 25, plenty of people are married, have kids, yada yada, by the time they're 25. Like, if I went to Mars right now, I wouldn't be. I'd come back and I'd be still finishing up college. I'd be 5 years behind all my friends, you know? So, it's a whole big thing. But I'm not smart enough for them to ask me to go to Mars anytime soon. So I don't really have to worry about it, at least. Purple, if you said anything if I said anything, you didn't hear because of the ads. Yeah, sorry about the ads. They do that. It's so when there's not pre-rolls. Yeah, I don't know. But Purple, you said you're more into mythology than astrology. I wasn't talking about astrology. I'm not very much an astrology person, other than I do recognize the fact that I'm a Gemini, obviously, in my, like, about me. I have friends that are really into astrology, though. They love it. I like astronomy, though. The study of the stars. Not the studies of whatever astrology technically means. I think they're basically synonyms, but they have very different meanings in context. But yeah. I like mythology, though. I'm actually in a mythology class this semester. And you know who my favorite is? Prometheus. I love his story. I think it's so interesting, especially when you combine it with then his story leads into his brother's story with Pandora. Pandora and Epimetheus get married. She opens the box. You know, it's a whole thing. Women are born with Pandora, but then also, like, she lets out all the bad things in the world. It's a whole lot. It only would take 9 months to get to Mars. That's like this, well, technically pregnancy is 10 months, but, like, again, let's say by the time I got to Mars, like, if my sister got pregnant tomorrow and I left for Mars tomorrow, I'd get to Mars and she'd have a baby, and then it would take me another at least 10 months to get back and she'd have a year-old baby. So, you know, like, what's the trade-off? Like, How much do you value what you would miss if you wanted to go to Mars? Purple, you wish you had a mythology class. You really